Spark on the shine, this reaction time. Golden vibes, we on the climb. Watching groove and all acted in. Tune in now to go direction. Welcome back to the Golden Reaction, episode 2. I got a scary one for you. These are some of the most intriguing and strange TikToks and YouTubes. And I think these are gonna get the hair on your arms to stand up. I gotta remind you, this is for entertainment purposes only. And I don't wanna hold you up, so let's get it on.
The Diddy shit was a distraction, and what? The 23andMe thing is going crazy because all of the people are leaving. All of the board members are leaving, and there's some sus things that people think are gonna happen to the company.
Yeah.
Now, the theory goes with what's gonna happen with the DNA, because it's a DNA company that everybody gave their DNA to this company, and there's a data leak. What's gonna happen to all that information, though? Why is it such a problem? My mom gave me this idea.
Whoa, what is it?
My mom gave me the idea, and I'm like, holy shit, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Why is it that the Diddy stuff is happening exactly when the 23andMe stuff is happening? Check this out. It's a DNA thing. What can they use for DNA? They can frame people with DNA, bro. They can frame people for name the crime.
Oh my god,
with
that's crazy.
DNA. If they have every single piece of DNA, or at least a great majority of people in the world, because people gave the ancestry lines leading to different people. You can just connect the dots. You can fill in the puzzle, bro. They have all that DNA. Yo, they can forget cloning, forget like making new people, making robots. They can deadass just straight up frame people that they want out.
And DNA's that's what they go to get the truth, fam.
Yeah.
If your DNA is on that, you're gone.
Alright fam, spam it up in the comments and let me know what you think about the 23andMe thing.
Show you.
Man, I feel so sorry for that girl. I hope there were cameras or something. I hope there's some footage out there that we can see, you know, exactly what happened. Oh god, it's just too scary. Oh my god. You would think something like that would happen in a Walmart. I don't know, spam it up. What do you guys think?
See that? Look, I can touch both sides. I can touch both sides.
A straight insurance fraud attempt was caught on tape in broad daylight. And let me know if this makes you want to buy a dash cam as much as it makes me. This TikToker was driving on the Belt Parkway in Queens, New York. And I'm just gonna roll the tape because you need to see the whole video.
And on the what the oh my god!
What happened, babe?
Ah! Ah! Oh my god, what is he? Babe!
Babe, what happened?
I don't know.
Babe,
I got into an accident. Oh my god. Oh my god,
where are
babe.
you?
I'm on the Bell Parkway. This guy just reversed into me. What the hell is going on?
Reversed into you?
Yeah.
As you can see, she was driving in the left lane when this silver Honda decided to swerve into her lane. She was able to stop short enough to not hit the car, but for no reason at all, the driver of this silver Honda full speed reversed into her front bumper. And this scene is straight out of a movie, but they all hopped out of the car holding their heads.
I gotta keep my eyes open out there, man.
Hurt and then assessing the damage
People
on
are
the
just
car.
scamming, man.
She hit them. All have their phones out recording,
So many
taking down
scammers.
her license plate and trying to talk to her for insurance. At the same time, this is her rear view camera. This red Kia was trailing so she couldn't slam on her brakes too hard. So she actually explains all this in the caption for the original video, but they actually had a tarp right here for some reason covering the rear window. But when they slammed into her, the tarp fell down and she could see the driver switching seats with the passenger. Not really sure why they did that. They approached the driver to try to exchange insurance information, but once they saw the dash cam was recording everything, their demeanor changed pretty quickly. As you can see here, that's a face of defeat. This red Kia that was trailing behind her actually pulled forward and the driver got into the car. This was an absolute mess, and it literally just sold me on a dash camera.
I think I'm gonna have to buy me a dash camera after seeing that video. Oh, God, people these days.
Or DTE. We're checking for gas leaks.
Cases like this are exactly why I don't let people that I don't know into my home, even if they're dressed in a professional manner. This disturbing footage was recently taken from somebody's Ring doorbell camera, and we can see this guy as well as his friend back here dressed up in pretty official looking uniforms. These guys are pretending to be from DTE, which is an energy company, and unfortunately the people inside of the house fell for this. For context, this happened extremely recently in October, and the resident of the house was a man by the name of Hussein Murray, and he lived with his wife. The man pretending to be an energy worker was this guy, Carlos Jose Hernandez, and after gaining access to the home, he took Hussein down to the basement. This is where Hussein would end up losing his life, and then Carlos and his accomplice went upstairs to his wife and asked her where the jewelry and money was kept. Hussein's wife did end up surviving and calling 911, however, Hussein was not so lucky himself. The case is currently still ongoing, so there's not a whole lot of details that have emerged, but let this be a lesson. Anyone can dress up like this and try to gain access to your home. Be careful who you trust.
Moment before disaster.
Okay, in case you missed it, the whale peed and got the pee to expand in the water next to the glass and then swim around, came back, and splashed all that urine over everybody in the stands. Oh my God, the boys saw it happening. Oh God, that was freaking hilarious.
Was watching TV when she sees this everywhere.
What the hell?
Nivea was watching YouTube on TV when all of a sudden everyone had black eyes and blood around their mouth on all channels.
My TV is freaking possessed. Any video I click on YouTube, they have black eyes or blood on them. Check this out. Totally random. Totally random. What the hell? I'm gonna do a totally different video. Check this out. This is supposed to be Family Guy. And it's only YouTube, because look, I'll go to a different app. Hold on. Let me go to my Fire Stick. Watch this. It will be completely normal. I'm on my Fire Stick. It's on the loading screen. It's nothing to do with the screen.
She explains how it's not a filter because it doesn't apply to the face.
Alright guys, let me know about that video. Let me know if anybody else has seen that on their YouTube or in their content, or, you know, just that's happened to anybody else. I'd like to know if this is a real thing.
Faces in the thumbnails, and all the TV settings and other apps are normal. So is this possessed YouTube? Let me know what you think.
I just got back from the gas station. I went in to get some snacks and water. Had kind of a weird conversation with the cashier lady there. She was like, "Oh, where are you headed?" And she's like, "Okay, who are you traveling with? Like your boyfriend or your dad?" I was like, "No, it's just me today. Just getting out and exploring." And she was like, "Oh, okay. Well, just be careful. There's this really bad highway here, and they used to call it Highway 666. Like, because a lot of people think it's cursed. Like, a lot of people see things on the side of the road. It's not called Highway 666 anymore. It's called something else. Name it because so many people thought it was cursed that nobody was driving on it anymore. Nobody wanted to go to the towns around it. I was like, okay, what is it? She's like, I don't remember. People will feel compelled to just wander off into the middle of the desert. And she said, whatever you do, don't stop on this highway. Y'all want to hear a story? This is the story of the Devil's Highway, what was once known as Route 666, up New Mexico, running through Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and once upon a time, Arizona. Prior to the road's inclusion in the U.S. system in the 1920s, this route included the Navajo Trail and the Old Spanish Trail. It was numbered 666, not because of any sinister connotation at the time, but because it was the sixth branch of Highway 66, unintentionally referring to the number of the beast and its association with the devil. This road became known as the Devil's Highway, and people believed it cursed. There has been an unusually high number of accidents and fatalities on this stretch of road. In fact, a state trooper that was interviewed in 19...
Yeah, I was writing a movie script about this highway, and in the past, the wind would sing a song through the cracks of people's vehicles, and eventually their vehicle was possessed by spirits or, negative entities, and they would get into a wreck and lose their lives. And as time goes on, the song transitioned into radio and then to MP3s, and it kept getting more advanced into like hardcore metal versions, and the song would take over the vehicles even in the future. And they brought a team out to analyze the situation and try to contact spirits and check out the infrared readings and energy readings out there, and things get scary at the end. These creatures come out from the desert and from the wilderness areas, and they start being seen at the end of the movie. And yeah, if anybody wants to help write the script with me and develop a movie about this highway, leave a comment below and maybe we'll connect and make some movie magic.
1990 told a USA Today reporter that, quote, 666 is evil. Everyone dies on that highway. And many of these accidents are believed to have supernatural causes. And this road is chock full of different legends and stories. A black car that appears at nightfall and speeds up on drivers. It usually zooms past the car and then disappears. So some claim this ghostly sedan has even bumped their bumper before swerving around them and disappearing. There is a phantom hitchhiker, a young woman in white who tries to wave down drivers, and then if someone pulls over, she disappears. Then there's the mad trucker, which is a lot like Satan's sedan, but actually more scary because it's an 18-wheeler that appears, and it's coming at you head on in the center of the road. It's always moving extremely fast. Most people that see it say that it's moving at about 100 miles an hour. Some witnesses even claimed that it was moving so fast that it was like throwing sparks, while others described the truck as being engulfed in flames. It's believed this mad trucker sightings have been responsible for several of these fatal accidents. And if that's not scary enough for you, there's also reports of hounds of hell that run around. Packs of wild black dogs with glowing yellow or red eyes. And it said these dogs run as fast as a car can drive and will run alongside cars and keep up with them. And they've also said to cause wrecks by running in front of cars or even swarming cars and like trying to attack it. And it said these hellhounds have claws and teeth sharp enough to shred a tire. There's also a specific section of the road between Navajo Nation and these Ute Mountains, that is said to be known territory of skinwalkers. These skinwalkers are said to act in a very specific pattern. Usually you will see it first in a human form, appearing as like a medicine man walking along the side of the road or standing there, who will motion you to stop or to turn around or otherwise communicate with you that you should turn around. And if this warning is ignored and the driver keeps on anyway, later on down the road, that skinwalker appears in the backseat in their monstrous animal form, which usually causes wrecks, or worse, the skinwalker steals the person's soul and their skin. Ooh. The skinwalkers are also said to appear sometimes in the middle of the road in an attempt to cause a wreck so that they can get to the person and steal their soul and their skin. Along with the abnormally high number of accidents and fatalities on the road, there have also been an eerily high number of disappearances, along with missing time. There have been people who have gone missing that later reappear walking along the side of the road and disoriented, confused, and not knowing how they got there or how long they've been gone. Others disappear along this road and are never seen again. So sometimes when people are searching for the missing people, they'll find random belongings of theirs or pieces of their car in the middle of the road. Other people have driven along the road and had missing time incidents where they get to the end either way too fast or way too slow. For some reason, the passage of time here
is strange, notorious for decades. And some people in the areas refuse to drive it at all, saying they ain't getting on no road named after the devil. Apparently, even some of the states agreed with that, because in 1992, Arizona removed the US 666 designation from their state and replaced it with the southern end of US 1 states of the Devil's Highway, were able to change their route number 2, replacing it with the US 491. So there are signs that pretty much point out that it's the old 666 and the new 491. This change was done not only in an attempt to negate the curse by removing the devil's number, but also because people kept stealing the signs. It got expensive for the transportation department. As far as that curse goes, most people say that the change didn't help all that much. The highway is still considered very strange, pretty dangerous, and extremely paranormally active. It's said if you're driving along that road, you can feel the change as the sun goes down, when unexplained feelings of fear and dread begin to creep up on you, and all the things that haunt this road come out to roam. Have any of y'all ever traveled down the Devil's Highway? And did you experience anything creepy? Let me know.
Have any of you driven on that road? If something scary has happened to you by driving on that road, man, leave a comment. Let us know.
This thing just moved.
Boy, all the talking head would have been screaming about the Dallas Cowboys and sticking the fork in this organization. So again, kudos to the Cowboys going on the road, getting a good win. See how we win that movie.
Look, there's a saying in golf, there's no pictures on the scorecard. If you're down, you don't care if it's by 5 or it's going to be like, you're just happy that you moved to 2 or 2. The injury to Parsons, and we don't know anything at this point, he just left by a car with the left shoe off. How do you assess what that man needs to do? It's a lot better if he's on the feet.
I mean, that would be, if he's missing any significant time out of the he's long, he's that better.
Touch the thing and be like, no, leave it. No thank you. Don't even touch it.
They have to be playing from the hand. They're suited, but they have a team and they get on that pass rush. But if you don't have that guy much.
The door just moved.
60% when everything's open.
33 propels 100 affordable housing laws, including the
Quiet early on, much more involved, particularly
the safety over the top, and you'll see right down here. Indeed, a free personal Suzuki dessert. An entree plus free dessert, just $13. That's a sweet deal.
Oh God. When you go back in the room, I'll be like, no.
Are you real? You can do it again. I won't watch.
Until he says the person's name for when things get creepy. Take a look.
Dispatch to 329.
32948.
Yes, sir. Who are you talking to?
Talking to elderly lady. I saw her walking by the store and she said she's looking for Mr. Griffin. Her name is Miss Abigail.
Did you say Miss Abigail?
Yes, ma'am. She says she wants to see Mr. Griffin, and I told her that the canvas is closed, that she should come tomorrow morning, and she might see Mr. Griffin.
Are you sure you're saying Miss Abigail? Like, she's been passed on for 2 years now.
Come again with that, please?
Miss Abigail she died 2 years ago.
You mean you can't see the person I'm talking to?
No, there's nobody in front of you at all.
Her 2 dogs passed away years ago, yet she saw them playing in the house. Sometime in 2017, a woman named Julieta had 2 similar dogs that both passed away. In order to honor their memories, she uploaded some of their happiest moments online and got a home memorial. Eventually, the family decided to get another dog after healing from their tragic loss. But on one night, while the dog was sleeping, Julieta heard multiple dogs barking in the living room. After looking around, she sees nobody there, but was sure she heard other dogs. So she decides to review the CCTV footage and sees this. The silhouette of 2 ghost dogs can be seen playing around in the living room, even waking her new dog as it stares at them confused before they run off into the dark hallway and fade away. This moment brought tears to Julieta's eyes, as the 2 dogs clearly resembled her 2 dogs that passed away. A little scared at first, Julieta now feels relieved to see her dogs return to greet her new dog with one last playful moment before returning to the afterlife.
Just in case you needed another reason not to go into the woods alone at night, I've got you covered. Crawlers are typically pale, long-limbed humanoid figures. There have been crawler sightings all over the world. Here are some first-hand encounters of crawler sightings. User Quentin Snark told this story on the Crawler Sightings subreddit. My friends and I used to camp a lot in the El Dorado National Forest. We had a spot along the Sopiago Springs where we used to camp a lot. One weekend, we decided to go for a 3-day foraging camp. We brought in MREs in case we couldn't find anything, some guns, and some supplies to set up shelter, but that's about it. First night was chill. We cooked a bunch of crawdads and squirrel and slept fine. The next day, something felt off to me. When night fell, my friends went 200 yards or so up the stream to do some stuff, and I was alone in camp. The feeling got even stronger, so I built up the fire nice and big and grabbed a gun. I kept hearing faint voices from the woods in opposite directions of where my friends went. They were low, indistinct sounds, but they were creeping me out majorly, and my buddies had taken the only 2 flashlights. As I peered out into the darkness, I caught a glimpse of something moving 50 yards or so out in the trees. I snapped the rifle to my shoulder and got the scope on it. It was pretty dark, and the only light was from the fire, but I could see the outline of what I was aiming at. It looked human, but it was on all 4s, and its arms seemed a lot longer than they should. It stood a bit like an ape, but very low to the ground. I only saw it for a second before it loped off deeper into the woods. After I lost track of it, I heard light rustling in different directions around the camp, leaves scuffling, the occasional twig breaking, always away from where my friends went, on the other side of the camp from their departure. I got the sense that whatever it was stalking me. I kept the fire high and was staying sharp looking out into the woods, but I didn't see it again. My buddies came back about 10 minutes later to find me. I was a paranoid wreck, glassing the tree line with a scope. I told them what happened and they got quiet, then told me the reason they came back when they did is they started hearing the same things I did over by where they were, and it spooked them. We spent the second night of our trip with a big-ass fire and 3 lookouts. Nobody slept that night. In the morning, we broke camp as quick as we could and hightailed it out of there. We never camped in that spot again. This next story is from user Hattori Hanzo Steel, who wrote, "Hello all. Upon discovering this sub, I'm reminded of an encounter I had in April of this year in John Bryan State Park in Yellow Springs, Ohio. My boyfriend and I were walking down a trail towards a bridge. About halfway down, I saw a white woman with a bob haircut. She was wearing a yellow sweater and a black vest and was crawling out of the water and up towards the bridge. She was on all fours and came up and crossed the bridge. She wasn't wet. By the time we got to the bridge, she was already across and down the trail. She turned and saw us and I waved, but her face was completely expressionless. Once we crossed the bridge, we got further and further down the trail until I realized that we hadn't run into her or seen her at all. She wasn't that far ahead of us. We should have seen her or passed her. She was just gone. Upon realizing this, the hair on my body stood on end and the entire sound of the park went completely silent. I stopped my boyfriend and pointed out the silence. The wind stopped, the bugs stopped, hell, the sound of the water stopped. I've spent entire days at this park hiking the entire thing. I've never had an encounter like this. We turned around and left. Once we got back to the bridge, the sounds gradually returned, but I've never, ever in my life had an experience quite like that." This final story is a long one, but it's worth it. It's from user capable-AD8799. "When I was 15 years old, I was part of a school trip to visit the country of Bhutan. Bhutan is an ancient country where the Western world has barely had any influence. We were traveling in a small group of about 20 people. Most of our group was sleeping at a hotel, but our tour guide invited us on a secret trip to a drinking establishment in town. We went on the trip and we met some girls. We went back to the hotel to hang out with the girls, and later that night, around 11 p.m., they asked us to walk them home. Little did we know, the walk would be about 4 miles in each direction. As we walked up the hill, the girls pointed out a shortcut path through the woods. They told us that because they had received blessings from local monks, we would be protected walking through the woods, but that when we returned, we should take the long way home. The reason that they gave us was that the woods were haunted. We laughed at their local superstition and we saw no strange sights on the way up. When we got to the destination, we spent a few minutes there before we left. My friend and I played lacrosse together in high school. He was stocky, strong, and altogether not a timid young man. We were both strong, confident, even cocky. Encouraging each other not to fear the darkness of the Himalayan night, we walked back down the mountain underneath the clear light of a waxing moon. When we reached the trailhead of the shortcut through the woods, I remembered and repeated the warning that the girls had given us. My friend, not a superstitious young man, joked that I was being a scaredy cat. I told him I was not scared, and I took point as we entered the woods. He followed behind and even attempted to scare me a few times by jumping on me. After about 20 minutes, we reached a clearing in the woods. As we did, I began to see strange lights floating in the trees. What came next was something I could have never expected or imagined. Across the clearing, bathed in the blue light of the moon, just standing there, was an upright naked figure. It stood about 5 feet tall, completely hairless, with gray skin and eyes illuminated by a soft yellow glow. I froze on the spot, petrified by what I was seeing and unsure if I could trust my eyes. My friend hid behind me, looking over my shoulder, and asked, "What the fuck is that?" As if in response to his question, the creature instantly sprang into motion. It fell onto all fours, snarled, and began walking backwards. It walked backwards toward a tree, and then, without breaking a step, walked backwards up the trunk of the tree and onto a horizontal branch which hung over the path and at the other end of the clearing. My friend took off sprinting into the woods and ran directly underneath the branch and into the darkness. Then I was left in the clearing, still paralyzed and without my friend, but not yet alone. For a few minutes I stood there, unsure what I was looking at. I began to pray every prayer I knew, and yet still the creature sat on the branch staring at me with its glowing yellow eyes. I got a long, good look at the creature and noticed its bulging pot belly and simultaneously emaciated figure. It looked exactly like a hungry ghost from Asian folklore. I had no choice but to walk towards the creature. I walked directly underneath the branch, looking up at the yellow eyes and snarling dirty teeth. Saliva dripped from above onto the path below me. At every moment I thought the creature would pounce down on me, but it didn't. I circled around the creature, keeping it in front of me, as I then backed away into the woods. I continued walking backwards until the clearing was long out of sight. I ran all the way back to the hotel room. Years later, I reached out to that friend to confirm the story and the details. He was able to confirm and said he never spoke of it afterwards to anyone else. It was one of those deeply confusing experiences that no one will ever be able to confirm or deny. It left a sliver of doubt in me that Whatever we consider to be concrete reality is probably not so concrete. Science does not know everything. This was not a fictional story. This is a real anecdote about my life, and it haunts me to this day. As I wrote this story, bone-chilling fear took hold of me, and the same familiar tears of true horror began streaming down my face. I hope you enjoyed my tale. If you ever find yourself alone in the woods at night, maybe take the long way around. I read many stories of people seeing crawlers in trees, staring into their windows at night, even stories of people seeing crawlers attacking their chickens and other livestock. Have you ever encountered a crawler?
Have any of you ever seen a crawler out there? Or a skinwalker? If so, man, leave that in the comments. My personal opinion, I think we should weaponize drone the woods and shit where people find these creatures or say they've seen these creatures. And, you know, just take care of the problem maybe. Maybe that's best. I mean, if these things are taking livestock and even, you know, the young ones, you know, I don't know. I don't think they should be walking around in, you know, the darkness at night. Just my opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think? Spam it up, Golden Fam.
People coming from space, you know.
Yes.
And I know you're interested in that.
Oh, very interested in that. How much did they tell you about that?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd they tell you? How much can you tell?
So
How's that work? Is it like super top secret?
I can tell, you know.
Tell me.
Well, based on Hunter Biden, I can say whatever the hell I want, right? But no. But I interviewed a few people. It's never been my thing, I have to be honest. I have never been a believer. I have people that Area 51 or whatever it is. I think it's the #1 tourist attraction in the whole country or something. Area 51 in Las Vegas. Do you know that, right?
Sure, I know what it is.
So anyway, but it's a big tourist thing. So I interviewed jet pilots that say they saw something. If you saw them, you'd love to have them as
I've had a couple in here. Commander David Fravor.
Yeah.
I had him in, who had that sighting in 2004. Very compelling with video evidence, radar evidence. Brian Graves.
I don't believe his name, but I interviewed jet pilots that were solid people. Perfect. I mean, great pilots, great everything. And they said, we saw things, sir, that were very strange. Like a round ball, but it wasn't a comet or a meteor. It was something. And it was going 4 times faster than an F-22, which is a very fast plane, you know. And it was round, which is, in theory, a great shape.
So when you were talking to these people, was this something that you were compelled to have conversations about? Was this your personal interest?
A little bit. It's not a great interest for me, but it's a little interest. I get that question as much as almost any question. Do you think that we have aliens coming, you know, flying around or whatever?
What do you think?
There's no reason not to. I mean, there's no reason not to think that Mars and all these planets don't have life, you know, because
Mars, we've had probes there and rovers, and I don't think there's any life there.
Well, maybe it's life that we don't know, but
maybe there was life there at one point in time. This is the speculation about Mars, that Mars had an atmosphere at one point in time, a long time ago, that could support life. It also had large bodies of water, but we've had no evidence of even bacterial life that exists on Mars. But the universe is pretty vast.
It's not been a big thing for me. I mean, when I looked at what China did to this, they would have never done it with me, where they put the balloon up. And a lot of people thought for a little while that was one of these things. So,
well, that's a lot of the speculation, too, that some of these drones that hover over battleships, that these are Chinese drones, and that they're not UFOs.
They could be also.
There's some super sophisticated.
But I did interview, let's say 3 or 4 guys that, and without tremendous interest, if you had them, they said, you'd love to have them as your children. Solid, beautiful people. They said, sir, there's something there. You know,
there's something there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to quite a few of
them.
They're
not conspiracy guys.
Well, I mean, just the Commander David Fravor thing in 2004 off the coast of San Diego, they clocked that thing going from 50,000 feet above sea level to 50 in a second.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is.
That's tough to beat.
Yeah, they saw something in the water. It was hovering over that something that was making a disturbance in the water. They got video evidence of this thing. 2 different fighter jets with pilots in them saw it. There's, visual evidence, photographic evidence, video evidence, radar evidence. Whatever the hell it is, it moves in a way that would turn a human being into jello if they're inside of it. The G-force, no one would survive.
Oh,
so what is that? And it doesn't have a heat signature. They don't know what their propulsion system was. But
When you fly in some of these jets, these pilots have to be in great shape.
Oh yeah, I flew with the Blue Angels once.
Yeah,
yeah, I got to fly. I guess
and
it's
those
an
are older,
FA-18.
and those are older machines,
and they're crazy.
When you fly in some of these things,
oh my
it's
God,
amazing. Yeah, but
yeah, I can imagine.
You got to be special.
But these things that these people are encountering are far superior to what we know of.
Yeah.
Is it possible that there's some military or government program that you weren't, that they didn't tell you about?
I think I had a great relationship with the military, basically, but I didn't like certain people. I would have gotten them out if I thought the election was different. I would have fired all of them quickly. Most of them I did fire.
This was not a human that was in the room. Nobody on the tour was wearing a hat. Nobody was wearing a kind of coat like that. This is not a reflection of anybody. It's not a reflection of the statue, because I don't see how that matches or would even do that. Oh, can someone explain what is going on? Now, I didn't believe in ghosts. I've never personally experienced like a ghostly supernatural experience, so I had no frame of reference. However, one of the Egyptologists that was on the group, when she saw this photo, she pointed out that this weird person here looks a hell of a lot like this Egyptian dude. Like, it's the same clothes, it's the same hat. What?
This video literally left me scratching my head, and I've had to watch it several times. This witness claims that he walked out and noticed a line of his neighbor's cars were broken into, but it's not your typical, somebody smashing a window and breaking into a car. No, it looks like something punched through the windshield and folded up the roofs on these line of cars, literally back to back. I was even reviewing the cars to see if there was maybe sideswipe damage from potentially a car accident, a car slamming into them. Nothing. It's literally like something peeled back these roofs. But what? And how could this have happened? Take a look at this and tell me what you think.
Oh, what the fuck that is, man? Hey, stop playing, man. What the fuck that is, man?
That's another dimension right there. I probably go through that and see all my past stuff.
What the fuck is that, man? Hey, that's a meteor. That big.
Oh, man,
boy, that's a meteor, boy.
You don't know what the fucking meteor is, man.
Okay, so this is really weird, and I'm going to keep my eye out for this in the future because this is so strange. Look at this. So this Matrix Mysteries group just popped up on my Facebook, so I joined it after reading this post. Look what this lady said. She said, a while back, I began to notice a weird quirk at my farm. Quirk would be an understatement. A cell tower went up behind my woods last year. Since then, I have a weird cloud that almost seems to hang around in the sky, the same area, almost every day. Even when the sky is cloudless, there will be this weird little cloud sitting there for hours. It doesn't change or move, but it's different each day. Even if it's cloudy, there's a defined and different cloud still there. Now, I would think this girl's full of baloney if she didn't include like 50 pictures. And again, this could totally be fake. Let's just preface this could be completely fake. But it's kind of weird. Look at this. So this is the first one that's included. Notice her fence there, the tree there, and the cloud there, otherwise cloudless sky. Here's another one from a different angle, different day, cloudy day, but a defined cloud right there. Another one in the exact same spot on a blue sky day, cloud hanging around right over there. Looks like a sunset here, cloud hanging around right over there. Here's kind of a double whammy at night in between the two trees we know of, there's a cloud, and then sure enough, in the morning, cloud sitting there again. This time it's a bit bigger, but same spot. You do have to wonder, is there something she could possibly gain from making this up? That's what you gotta wonder. Here's the cloud again. Blue sky day, cloud still sitting right there. This one's a bit of a zoom in. Again, her fence is here. This is the same angle. This time it looks a little different. It's just always hanging out there. So what are your guys' thoughts? I have some, but again, this is disclaimer, probably fake.
Look! You need to get the boys!
there's this new game called Red Door or Yellow Door, and people are literally freaking out after going under hypnosis as a party trick and going through these doors. They are reporting seeing apparitions and spirit figures and saying that if you see this man, wake them up. Newsflash, that's a real man.
There's a trend happening right now on TikTok where people are recording themselves playing a game called Red Door, Yellow Door. And honestly, some of these videos are pretty creepy. The point of the game is to put yourself under hypnosis.
Have y'all literally never seen what happens when you go through the red door? Insidious was based off real shit, and it's a reason it's called the Red Door, and Ed and Lorraine Warren are real. I don't even know that what you are doing is allowing a spirit to enter your body that could possibly be a demon, but what other spirit would try to enter your body? When you guys are putting yourself under hypnosis and saying red door, yellow door over and over again until you see a door that you're not supposed to go through, someone else is behind you. Y'all are fucking around in the spirit realm where there is a spirit door that is a passageway between the natural, the temporal world, and the spiritual world. Door can represent our personal natural comfort zone, i.e. the yellow door. When you go through it, you're literally allowing something to possess your body and you're leaving your comfortable zone in this realm. Not playing this shit.
They told me they were making a hybrid race.
And for what?
They didn't want, I wanted to know for what, but they never gave an inkling of what it was for, of what this hybrid race would be doing, where it would be, or what. My grandfather died in 1940, so this was in the 1930s when these things were happening with them. She said they would be sitting on the side porch at night and they would see lights over the oil wells, and a lot of times they would see what they thought were little children dressed in white running around the oil wells. And on several times they saw it in the daytime. They would see these little children dressed in white, and once or twice they got up to go see if they could catch the little children and find out who they were, and they would start out, but by the time they would get there, the children would be gone. The main concept was creating a hybrid breed. At least that's what they told me, that they were trying to create a race of people that could live in our atmosphere and in their atmosphere. And they had not yet produced that person. Now, on another occasion, I remembered being shown a baby that really favored my grandson a lot. If you would, give it the slant eyes, they weren't as big as their eyes, but it looked human. And I knew that this was my child, and I wanted to take that child with me, but they said that it would not be able to live in this atmosphere. It's not really a frightening experience. It's just, it happens, and it doesn't leave you frightened. I think the thing that frightened me the most was that I was not consciously aware of what had happened, and I did not know what to put these ships with. I didn't have anything concrete to say, well, they're coming to do this or that. I just had the frightening feeling. And after I found out what had happened, I was at peace with what had happened, knowing that there's nothing that I can do about it, because I cannot stop them. Nobody can stop them from doing what they want to do. Nobody on this earth, because they are too far advanced mentally and technologically for, we don't have a defense at all.
It's like they do magic.
Yeah, they could come in today and take over if that was their desire. But like I said, I don't feel it's their desire to take over through violence, and they don't care about governments. See, government control is not their thing. They want bodies, and they want minds that are going to do what they want the minds to do, but they need the bodies to do whatever it is with. And that's where we come in.
Everything I've seen in all the autopsies I've done of cancer patients, not one of them died of cancer. They died of liver failure, they died of cardiac failure, renal failure, all due to chemotherapy. We got a patient that had been through chemo and radiation, and they had cooked her liver and cooked her kidneys. We looked at the blood work and realized she had no organ function to speak of left. And I said, we can make her more comfortable, but the radiation treatment that they used on her has actually destroyed her organs. So we did what we could. She'd been given 3 weeks, we gave her 6 months. And she got time to say goodbye to her family. But I remember walking into the office the morning after she passed, and this internist was sitting on the waiting room couch. And I said, what's the problem? And she looked at me and she said, I'm doing the death certificate, and I don't know what to write for cause of death. I said, you might try writing the truth for a change. And she said, you know how much trouble I can get in by doing that? I said, if you're going to study with me, you're going to write the truth. And she wrote radiation poisoning, cause of death. She's the only doctor I've ever seen do that. She actually had the courage to tell the truth.
The whole point of finance is to indebt, otherwise to enslave. What is a mortgage? I mean, what does that stand for? It's a death grip. So when you get a mortgage, you have a death grip held over you because you are in debt. You don't even own the house. The bank owns the house that loaned you the money to buy the house, unless you're fortunate enough to have all the money to buy it outright. And even then, you can be taxed by the government, and if you fail to keep up with those taxes, the government can then take it from you. The whole system is based on a financial fraud, which effectively takes the power that we have, and it gives it to a tiny group of individuals who are running the world through the control of finance. With the infinite supply of money that we have allowed them to take, they have literally an infinite supply of money, and with that money, and from their psychopathic point of view, they have bought everything and everyone who can be bought. So those of us who cannot be bought, because we operate on a level that goes way beyond the material, we are not rewarded for such behavior, we are punished for such behavior. And the most slovenly, disgustingly criminal, pedophilia, corrupt moral individuals, those are the ones that are rewarded in this system, which is upside down. We reward the pedophiles, we reward the corrupt, we reward the liars, we reward the people with no morals at all, and usually we compromise them under this system. Or maybe we have videos of political leaders having sex with little boys or little girls. If I was in charge of the world and I was a psychopath and completely drunk on my own power, you can bet damn sure that's what I would do. I wouldn't allow anyone in a position of power who wasn't completely compromised. When you have an infinite supply of money, you can do this. Take that supply of money away, take that power back, put it in the hands of the people, get rid of fractional reserve banking, which is an obscenity in itself. Listen to the lessons of Jesus Christ if you're a Christian who got really pissed off when he went to the temple and he saw what the money changers were doing. Let's take back control of the issuance of money, and not just on a national level. I'm happy to see in Denmark that you have your own currency, you don't have the euro, but on every country's level, they should be issuing their own currency in a transparent, non-usury based way in which it really, truly benefits the people. And in that way, we can literally free ourselves of the banking debt which is drowning us all, and we can stop scrambling for the crumbs from the table of these filthy rich psychopaths and live in a state of abundance just by changing this one thing. And I'm not just talking about abundance for Western nations who have an artificially inflated value with their currencies. We all in the West are guilty of having that reward while the rest of the world is sucking on it. Every nation in the world can use a sensible financial policy to liberate themselves, to have world-class education, infrastructure, everything that a healthy society would require can be had in the worst, most corrupt African country in any part of the world. We can all have that if we simply change that one thing. John F. Kennedy did that about 6 months before he was taken out. He issued United States notes as opposed to Federal Reserve notes. I can assure you the powers that be knew the power of that act, and they took him right out. So the bottom line is, if we as people understand this very simple principle, just this one thing, change this one thing, we can solve every other problem you can name. I don't care what the problem is. I can bring it back to the financial system and an infinite supply of money for a bunch of psychopaths who are running the world, as opposed to an abundant supply of money for all of us. So in that sense, I'm very optimistic. This is not rocket science. I am not the smartest guy in the room. We can all understand this. And as soon as we do, we can exercise the same power that we had, but relinquished, and we can have a future for ourselves and our children. There's a lot to be optimistic about, quite frankly.
Every one of you who has a phone in their hand should have a deep think about why they don't have removable batteries anymore. They tell us it's for better water resistance or to make your phone slimmer, but do you really believe that? Back then, you could just pop that sucker out, slap in your backup battery, and boom, you were back at 100. No power banks and no waiting around. They've made sure you can't ever do that again. Others say it's all about money, right? Because they want us to buy a new phone. But think about it, wouldn't they make more money selling backup batteries? The truth? The battery was the only thing you could control. Once you take away your ability to remove the battery, you can never really turn your phone off. Even if you hit that power button, it's still listening. How else do you think your phone switched itself on for the alarm? They needed a way to make sure we couldn't just cut the power. You pop that battery out, boom, no more tracking. So what do? They take away the option. And airplane mode, yeah, that's a joke. That's like trusting incognito mode to keep you safe from the CIA. And here's the kicker. This was always the plan from the start. Once they figured we weren't catching on, they went all in on non-removable batteries. It's the perfect system. And here's where it gets really freaky. Every phone company, and I mean every single one, made this change at the same time without exception. Think about that for a second. Not a single mainstream phone manufacturer lets you just pop out the battery anymore. None of them. It's like they all got the same memo at the same time. And the craziest part? Nobody questioned it. We just accepted it. Like sheep, we went along with the idea that it's just the next step in technology. Phones are getting better. Now, I'm not saying toss your phone out, but next time you stare deep into that camera lens, ask yourself, who's really on the other end? I'm going to go ahead and say this is just a joke for entertainment purposes.
To your knowledge, can you name the country and around time frame that the first back engineered UAP program started?
Ma'am, unfortunately, I would not be able to have that conversation in public.
Can anyone on the panel name that?
I cannot.
None of you? Okay. This next question is for Mr. Gallaudet. To your knowledge, have any USOs ever outpaced our submarines?
Yes, ma'am.
At what magnitude?
I don't have the exact speed, but again, a witness came to me, a credible former submarine officer who observed it on sonar data, and this was in the 80s in the North Atlantic during a storm, and it outpaced his submarine by orders of magnitude.
Are you aware of any hot spots that currently exist off our shores in North America?
Not with sufficiently credible data, ma'am.
Okay, we've heard reports of there potentially being hot spots, maybe entry and exit points. Have you heard of any of that?
I have not, ma'am, but my colleague here, Mr. Elizondo, does discuss some USO activity that he's observed in certain DoD databases.
Mr. Elizondo, in regards to these aircraft being piloted by whatever they might be, non-human biologics, would you agree that it's likely that they are being piloted by some mind-body connection?
Ma'am, I think it is safe to presume here that they are being intelligently controlled because some cases seem to anticipate our maneuvers, and in other cases they seem to, I came across an email where the word stalked was used in a very secure email between Navy officers discussing their ships being pursued by a UAP.
In our previous panel, we had Grush, and he had testified to say that some of these were interdimensional beings. Can you speak on that at all?
Ma'am, I'm not qualified, certainly as a scientist or otherwise, to speculate points of origin. I looked at everything from a scientific perspective. So if you look at, for example, instantaneous acceleration, which was one of the observables of the program that I belong to, ATIP, the human body can withstand about 9 G-forces for a short period of time before you suffer negative biological consequences, blackouts and ultimately redouts and even death. Comparison, our best technology, the F-16, which is it's an older platform, but one of our most highly maneuverable aircraft, manned aircraft, made by General Dynamics, can perform about 17 or 18 G-forces before you start having structural failure, meaning that the airframe begins to disintegrate while you're flying. The vehicles we're talking about are performing in excess of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 Gs.
So are you, I guess, would it be safe to infer that they're living craft?
You know, I'm not prepared at this point to state for the record is something alive or not, because even that definition is hard. There was a time in science we thought that life required oxygen, and we now know that's not true. There are anaerobic bacteria that thrive in oxygen environments that lack oxygen. And so also same with photosynthesis. When I was in college, it was told everything is derived from photosynthesis as a form of energy. In reality, that's not true. There are things that live off of chemosynthesis. So we're constantly having to reevaluate our understanding of what the definition of life is.
Do any of you ever come across reports from people that claim to have firsthand experiences with these entities, whatever they might be, or these aircraft, and then as a result, whether or not they're religious, find that these things will automatically disappear? Anyone, this is open to any of you on the panel. So just real quick, because I'm running out of time. Lou?
Ma'am, I've always been a nuts and bolts kind of guy. When I was at ATIP, I was focusing more on the performance characteristics and less on the potential occupants.
Okay, the reason I ask is because it seems like, just based on our conversations, that we've had people that say that there are good and bad of whatever these things are. And so my concern from a national security perspective is A, that true? B, are you guys hearing the reports of that? And C, I think moving forward in regard to technology, Mr. Gold, if you can answer this real quickly, some of these aircraft, it seems that they are operating off of energy that we don't currently have. But just yes or no, in your opinion, if we were able to obtain that, would that impact humanity for the better or negative?
Would certainly save us some money on funding on Artemis.
Definitely.
And this is a national security issue, that if there is such technology out there, we're not the only country that might have access to it. We don't want to be on the wrong end of technological surprise.
Okay. Thank you guys for your time.
All right, thank you.
You're going to see more of them appearing.
Well, the Greys are trying to create a sub-race that is a blend between human culture, the human race, and their race.
A kind of a hybrid Sith.
Exactly. They're not being very, very successful. And one of the things that they're trying to do is they're really looking for the soul. They don't understand the soul. They don't understand our extremes of emotions as well, because they're very, very different from us. Their experiments haven't been all that successful. There are a lot of emotional problems with that, because what really makes a human being is our essence, is the spirit that animates the physical form. Well, there's also another factor, and that is that they actually feed off the energy. They're vampires.
The Zeta Reticulan Greys.
The Greys, right. They're vampires.
Is this where we get our vampire legends? A lot of our vampire legends?
I don't know about that. I don't know if that has to do with it. I don't really know. I wouldn't be surprised, to be perfectly honest with you. But they feed off the energy. They can even bottle the energy and use it for later times. They're also stealing the vital bodies of human beings and storing it. So, I mean, they're just doing some really horrific things here that other races just simply wouldn't conceive of doing.
Now, are you familiar with Salvador Freixedo?
No, never heard of it.
Alright guys, that's it for the Golden Reaction. If you guys enjoyed everything, please like and subscribe. I'd like to create more of this content for you guys. Yeah, stay tuned, man. It's going to get better. I wish everybody an incredible holiday season, and God bless you all. This is the Golden Reaction with Mr. Golden XXX, and until next time. The Golden Reaction.